Welcome to Run Free and Strong. I'm Rachel. It's Sunday and we're doing our long run on the Red Trail in Trout Brook Valley Nature Preserve in Western Connecticut, and we'll use the opportunity while we run together to review the last 4 weeks of my Bristol Lake Waramaug 50K training. We are 2 weeks out from the 50K and 3 weeks out from an outdoor mile race at the Icahn Stadium in New York. Let's go, guys.
Let's start with a training summary for the first 15 weeks of 2025 that covers a period from December 30th to April 13th. As context, we've had one of the worst Connecticut winters in a decade, and to add, I've had a couple of illnesses as well. I've trained as much as possible, and although I maintained my foundation, I've not been able to increase training volume and intensity as planned. Reading the metrics from left to right, I've run 475 miles, climbed 32,000 feet, spent 87 hours of time on my feet, and run on 75 days, which represents 71% of possible days. As a trail and ultra runner, I train predominantly on trails, but also believe in race-specific training. I ran 82 miles on a Lake Waramaug race course, including a 25-mile long run. I'll share with you the weekly stats for mileage, vert, and time on feet. First, weekly mileage averaged 32 miles with a high of 50 miles in week 12. It would be an understatement if I said I'm only a little disappointed, and my plan and expectation was weekly mileage of 50 miles plus. In particular, weeks 7 to 10 were a struggle with heavy snow and ice and feel-like temperatures as low as -5 degrees Fahrenheit or -20 degrees Celsius. Food poisoning before my indoor mile at the Armory in New York City on March 6th, followed by the flu for a couple of weeks, and so on. I did what I could to get out there as often as possible and train and race. Now that spring has finally arrived, I will increase volume and intensity to prepare for the longer and more challenging ultras in the second half of the year. I will also taper for only a few days before the 50K race. Here's the kilometer chart. Next, weekly vert averaged 2,100 feet with a high of 4,700 feet in week 3. For the past few weeks, I spent more time on the Appalachian Trail and the Trout Brook Valley Red Trail to increase technical trail running and vert. While this won't help me much for the Lake Waramaug 50K, which is a road race, it is a necessary build-up for the 77K Verbier X Traversée by UTMB in Switzerland in July. The plan is to increase weekly vert to at least 5,000 feet. I'm less disappointed in coming up short for the weekly vert metric because, as mentioned, it is not a must-have requirement for Lake Waramaug. Again, we showed a meter chart. Finally, weekly time on feet averaged about 6 hours with a high of almost 10 hours in the first week. As we'll review next, my mix of training includes tempo runs as well as VO2 max and lactate threshold sessions, which improve speed and efficiency but don't add much to time on feet. Again, I plan to spend 8 to 10 hours per week on my feet and therefore a little disappointed. For the Verbier race and 200 milers in September and October, I plan to be above 10 hours per week. For those of you training for trail and/or ultra race and have an interest in specific runs or workouts that I do, please follow me on Strava and I'll follow back. Let's support each other. Here are a few weekly highlights showing tempo runs, VO2 max, and lactate threshold workouts on long runs. I'm not showing all runs here, and I do show everything on Strava. Feel free to pause the video. Now that I've shared my past 15 weeks of training, please let me know in the comments below whether or not you think I'm ready for the Lake Waramaug 50K, and any advice you can offer is much appreciated. Although not a technically challenging or long ultra, the undulating asphalt road course does damage to the body, particularly for a super masters runner. I completed the 2023 race in 5 hours and 9 minutes, but fell apart the last 5 miles or 8 kilometers and had to walk to the finish. I hope you enjoyed this training update and would appreciate it if you give the video a like. Please subscribe to follow our journey, and feedback and questions are always welcome in the comments below. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.